Hey everyone, this is Ken from Ken's Corner, and tonight I'm excited to have a very special professional wrestler with me tonight. His name's Bobby Sharp. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Ken. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I believe you're coming from Edmonton, and that's why it's light there still, and it's dark
Yep.
here in Toronto where I am.
Yeah, it's only 6 p.m. here, so at least the sun doesn't go down for another 45 minutes, which is nice. Not seasonal depression, not yet anyway.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing, right? It's going to come with us as quick as a Connor McDavid slap shot.
100%.
Okay, we're going to get right into this.
Yeah, man.
My first question for you, Bobby, is we just want to know when, where, how your wrestling journey began.
It's kind of funny. I wouldn't say a long story. I'll give you the cliff notes of it all because I've been wrestling for 20 years, so I got to try to remember it, how it all started. But it started when I was just a kid, because obviously I was a fan, and I met. I didn't know too many people in school, and I met a bunch of other wrestling fans. That's how I became friends with a bunch of people. So, uh, through just becoming friends in school and friends through wrestling, my one of my friends, and I'm 12 years old at this time, so this was 2001. 2001. His dad was actually a referee for a local independent wrestling company here in Edmonton, which to me that was kind of unheard of because I mean maybe independents were a little bit well more known in Ontario and then maybe the United States, but in Edmonton, basically there was a big gap after Stampede Wrestling shut down outside WWF. There really wasn't too much locally going on whatsoever. And when there was nothing regular. So his dad was a referee for a local wrestling company. And there were a group of us, like four friends in junior high. And he kind of brought it to our attention. He's like, hey, he wanted to be a wrestler really, really bad. He was a little bit older than I was. And his dad, one of the wrestlers in the company who was friends with his dad there, named Chris Wayne, was going to start opening a school here in Edmonton. And so he decided because there were four of us, we could all kind of, train together, not really join like the main class. I'm not too sure if they really had an official school, but it got our foot in the door. Basically, it started that whole career. And I was the type where I liked wrestling, and I thought it'd be cool to do it. But I started loving it after I started training and after I started seeing what it was like. Because once I got involved and we started rolling around and trying things out, then the ball got rolling quite a bit. For about a year after that, uh, other companies started kind of popping up. So then the real training, because that first year, obviously at 12 and 13, there really isn't too much outside cardiovascular. We weren't bumping and doing crazy stuff in the ring, just amateur wrestling, jiu-jitsu, sparring, things like that. So then a year a year later, 2002, I would say, another company was coming into town to kind of get their roots going, and that was Monster Pro Wrestling. And it was run by a guy named Massive Damage, and he had a couple partners. So then they were going to come in and start running shows here in Edmonton, a little bit more professional than the former company, but the former company kind of folded, so there really wasn't much going on. But he started a school, and his school was a lot more, at the time, it was a lot more organized. It was a lot more about what professional wrestling was, and he had a head trainer. So his head trainer was a guy named Eddie Watts, who might not be familiar with a lot of people now, but he was a lifer, a journeyman professional wrestler, 80s, 90s, 2000s. He'd been wrestling since 85 from Winnipeg. He went to Puerto Rico, went to Mexico, did WWF stuff, jobber stuff, Japan. Very, very well known and a very solid guy. A lot of guys know who he is today, like Bill DeMott used to be his tag team partner. Eddie Guerrero used to wrestle him a lot. So he was a guy that knew his stuff. So once we started training with him, things kind of completely changed. That's when I say I got started. Everything else was just kind of like feeling it out, but that's when things got started for me. And that's when I really saw uh, the hard work needed to do this and to get involved with this. But what I appreciate about him is that he took a liking to me, and he saw that I had like desire and drive to go further in this than a lot of the other guys. He kind of took me under his wing a little bit at the time. And so that kind of got my foot in the door. And then after he had a falling out with Massive Damage, Another guy came around who's also now he's like 30-year vet, but at the time he was just kind of getting his foot going too. He's a guy named Andy Anderson, and he's another guy that's more of a modern, like he'd been to Puerto Rico, Ring of Honor, WWF, things like that at the time. So he was kind of like Eddie Watts broke me in the sense of he gave me my fundamentals, and Andy took my work and got me ready for shows. And those two guys are the guys I really credit with breaking me into professional wrestling. It's kind of how I got started there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. That's you've been around some
Mhm.
very amazing names there. So
Oh yeah.
so you've had quite the upbringing. Now, I actually viewed you on Facebook the other day, and I seen that you had three championship belts. Can you explain to us what those belts are, and are you currently champion with in all of them right now?
Yeah. So I don't know. You might have checked an old post because now I have four. I just won
Oh,
one last. Yeah, I just won another one last Friday. Um. So yeah, these are all local, and these are all local high drawing companies. These aren't just ones that popped up and kind of gave you a championship. So one of them has been a company for man since the mid '90s called Can-Am Wrestling, which stands for Canadian American Wrestling. They run Alberta and throughout, and they've had thousands of shows over the years. So for them, I'm their heavyweight champion, and I have been since about April. There's also another local company that runs all over Alberta, Real Canadian Wrestling. I'm the Alberta Heritage Champion with them. They've been around for like 20 years as well. They run some really, really big shows, get some real good houses here in town. Actually, all these companies are drawing amazing in Alberta. The third one is a newer one, Wild Rose Sports Association. I won the heavyweight championship there. They're a little bit different. They don't run as many shows, but their titles are kind of defended throughout different companies. So it's a little bit of a unique situation where even though I could take his belt, his title to an RCW show or a show in the States or in Mexico or anything, and I could defend it there too. So his is kind of unique in that regard. And then the fourth championship is a Saskatchewan company called Best Entertainment Wrestling. They just had a show a few weeks ago, and I won the title in a steel cage match for them. So actually, 2 weekends ago, and I'm pretty proud of this fact, I had a championship belt in British Columbia for Thrash Wrestling. I won their heavyweight title for one night. So so I had 5 titles at one point here, singles championship belts. I was pretty proud of that fact because just for the statistic alone, there aren't too many guys that have held that many titles, singles titles, all at the same time, and we're defending them all as well. So I'm really proud of that.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way. There you go. Perfect.
Hey.
Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone will be happy to see that. Actually, I can see why you actually were chosen to enter. My next question is about
Mhm.
WrestleMania. I'm sorry, Wrestling Academy
Yeah.
2023, Lutte Academy, run by Jacques Rougeau. With all
Mhm.
those championship belts, it's not a surprise that you're involved in it. Can you take us back to when you got involved with this in entering this tournament?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool little. I consider it a pretty cool little story. A lot of other people just kind of sent in videos or got picked, but my journey through it was actually could be a movie. So Jacques had ran the tournament or the contest last year, and once we all saw it happen, it kind of put some legitimacy onto this whole thing because like I didn't even know about it until a couple of the guys that were entered in it told me. Like there's a guy here in Edmonton named Cato who was in it, and he was the first person I ever heard about it from. And it sounded like a pretty cool concept, but I've never talked to Jacques, so I didn't quite know what the real concept of it was from him. So then around October or so last year, yeah, October, it would have been literally a year ago, uh, because Jacques kind of was talking to me about entering and giving it a shot. And then basically the week he asked me to send in a video and give it a shot because he had high hopes for me, I tore my Achilles tendon in my ankle and I had to go on the shelf. So I went to the doctor and he said 9 to 12 months recovery, which is pretty significant. But I always thought I could get a little bit quicker than that. So when I spoke to Jacques, I said I don't think I'll be able to do it. Like an Achilles tendon tear is extremely serious, extremely serious. It could potentially end like Aaron Rodgers, the football player, just had it happen to him, and it's probably going to end his career.
You're right.
But he was really, really supportive, even though I didn't really know him. He was really supportive, and he's like, we like the way you wrestle, and we like the way you look, and then your professionalism. So send in your video and kind of have it as a goal, like a comeback date, something to work towards. So I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. And then he says, worst case scenario, if we get to the day of the show or the day of the contest and you're not cleared, you're not cleared. It just, we'll know in advance far enough. So I ended up actually getting cleared within 4.5 months. So I was back 5.5 months. So I was back around March, end of March, start of April, getting back in the ring. So things were rolling there. So yeah, I got involved just through people telling Jacques who I was, because Jacques wanted to pick, like last time I don't know how they reached the wrestlers or the contestants or however in the 2022 one, but I think with 2023 he wanted to really reach out and find some of the best of the best to do it, because there's so many great wrestlers in Canada, but a lot of us didn't really know about this, or there's Montreal is kind of like landlocked from the rest of Canada. So a lot of guys didn't really know how to get into this or how to get involved. So I think Jacques really wanted this competition to be a real strong, like you don't know who's going to win, not a competition where there's like 3 favorites and that's that. He wanted to pick some of the best guys he could find. So he was really supportive in choosing me and stuff. And so I kind of just dove head first into this thing. I wanted to give it all I wanted to work harder than anybody else. Because if I wasn't going to win, I wanted it to be because I wasn't chosen to win, or I wasn't, I didn't want to have no regrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I actually want to give you a quote from Jacques. He said that you impressed so much in your first match. I believe maybe an injury had happened, that when he went to QT Marshall and said, who do you want to face as the comeback wrestler to face QT Marshall? And your name was the only name that came out of both of their mouths. So I don't know what you did in that match. Maybe you can walk us through a little bit. And
yeah,
tell us a little bit about that phone call, I believe, that you got from, was it from QT Marshall himself?
yeah, that gets a little bit further into the story, because with the first round competition, it was me and Sean Moore. And a lot of people were saying that could have been the finals, and it very well could have been one of the final match. And it was the first round for both of us, so that was such a challenge. That was such an amazing show, top to bottom. Me and Sean were able to impress Raymond enough that he couldn't decide which one of the two to pick, and so he picked both of us, and that was as legitimate as can be. I had no idea. If they knew in advance, I'd be mad, but I had no idea that was going to happen. So the both of us getting picked was just kind of a sigh of relief, because me and Sean have such respect for each other. The second round came around. So an injury is kind of a weird thing to say, because it's injury and being hurt. So what happened in that one is my hip popped a little bit. And so like it happens, and I don't know if you've ever been hurt, but it kind of disorients you for a little bit. You don't know what's going on, but it like popped in, popped out
I
kind of
play
thing.
some football, I understand.
Yeah. So it happened, and then I don't know what's happening. And then all of a sudden the referees counted 3. I still tried to kick out. I think he didn't need to call it a 3, whatever. But I didn't realize what was going on for a couple of seconds. And then I kind of came to and was like, oh crap. This kind of went off the deep end and blah blah blah. So we got the ball back on track, but I knew at that point that just the situation, QT thought I was hurt, and he had the decision where it's like I can't pick the hurt guy. That's so he didn't know, and he did not know that I wasn't hurt, and I just wasn't injured, I should say. There's a big difference, hurt and injured. I wasn't injured, so he couldn't really pick me moving forward, unfortunately. So I lost that opportunity there. But what I thought was really cool that day, and this is before he had even, because we had all known that he might pick somebody to wrestle, but this is before he ever talked to me, is that he contacted me personally, and he wanted to check in on me. And I thought that was really cool of him. And I was like, well, it gets my foot in the door. He knows who I am. He talked to me a little bit. I have a direct line to QT to at least ask him things in the future and then get advice or anything like that. So then Jacques kind of said after the fact he wanted everybody to submit like a video so QT could kind of pick who he's gonna face. So I submitted my video because I was like, well, give it, see what happened. Not the worst thing that could happen, but hopefully this will kind of come true. When I submitted my video, and the very next day, Jacques like, your video was amazing. I think he's gonna pick you. There's almost no doubt in my mind. If he doesn't, whatever. But he goes, I'd be super surprised. He goes, you'd have to show me the person that I don't know who would pick before he picked you. So after the fact, after QT posted that video, and that's how I found out, was I had to watch the challenge. After the video, I heard from him himself when Jacques and him were talking. Jacques kind of like, who do you have in mind? And QT's like, oh, Bobby, 100%. Bobby's the only guy I have in mind. So I was like, well, he must have seen something. Like, it's still a competition, and he had to make his decision based on something outside of my work. So that made me feel a little bit better because my confidence was kind of like shattered at that day. But he saw something in me, and that really helped with my confidence and really helped to at least get my head out of the gutter. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was really, really a big honor just to even get the chance to wrestle the guy. And then the stage that it was presented to me, like I don't know, but like a lot of things came out of that match that I'd like to say, like, it's a chip on my shoulder to say I earned those things. A lot of opportunities that I got were earned because I wasn't guaranteed anything. I got the match, which wasn't a guarantee, and then everything else that happened wasn't a guarantee either. But I feel like I earned that through the respect and being around him and then learning from him, and then just the knowledge I got from him, getting in the ring with him, being able to actually physically touch and wrestle him, and he saw me on a different level than the rest of the guys in the tournament. And dare I say, that's something that goes even better than winning the training, is that he watched everybody else, but he physically got into the ring with me and saw what I was like,
Yeah.
which is there's no you can be judged by people watching, but when they get in the ring with you, it's a completely different type of judging.
I heard it was quite the barn burner, including the fans getting involved, holding QT Marshall down as you were giving them some chest chops. So
Yeah,
it's very exciting to hear.
yeah, yeah, and that
Now,
was that was really cool.
yeah. I don't know if I'm just, this is just a question I have off the top of my head, to be honest, Bobby. With this honor of fighting QT, does that extend the Nightmare Factory to you as well? Do you have training down there?
So that was the cool thing about all that, is that three people were going to win the money and three people were going to win the training. But after our match happened and it ended, and QT said for me to stay in the ring, and he offered me the training as well. So I won. I would like to say it that I won or earned the training based on, like, he's just giving that to me. He's not. He wasn't. His agreement with Jacques was three people. So him
Yes,
giving that to me had nothing to do with his agreement with Jacques.
that's
He gave that
exactly
to
why
me.
I'm asking.
Yeah, he
That's
gave that to me. I had no idea who was going to do that.
that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, some people, some people said watching it, they go, as the match was happening, I had a couple of my friends go, there's no way he's not. He's going to do something for you. He's just the way he's wrestling with you and the way it's all going. I had no idea that he was going to do that, and it's funny because, like, actually I don't even know if I told this part of the story, the Jacques, because the other winner, one of the other winners that won the money and won the training was Kat Von Hees, who many people may or may not know, but we're married
Oh,
uh in real life, which is, but one of
congratulations.
the things, yeah, one of the things, so as bad as that sounds now, one of the things that me and her had discussed was that QT didn't want to pick another couple again, and he was against it. So me and her sat down and with other people and said, don't tell anybody we're married, we're doing
Yeah.
this individually, we're on our own, like, us helping each other is unrelated to this tournament. We don't want anyone to know we're married, not nobody to know anything. And Jacques said, I won't say a thing. And Jeremy Prophet said, I'm not going to say anything either, because he dealt with the whole, when him and Jessica won, he dealt with the backlash. Even though they deserve it, they both had backlash because it's like, oh, they were picked because of whatever.
Yeah.
After the match, after the match and after the whole thing, where me and QT are gearing down, we're in the locker room and changing. He goes like, and he sees Kat come give me a hug and walk away, and he goes, "Oh, is that your friend?" how well do you know her? And I kind of like, I didn't know what he meant because I was like, do you mean like Casey Spinelli, like Kat's opponent? Like, what do you mean, my friend? He goes, oh, Kat, huh? Are you guys friends? I was like, well, I guess I could tell you now. I was like, we're married. He's like, well, are you kidding me? I had no idea. And I was like, well, yeah, well, now you know. But so he's like, well, I guess it is worked out in your favor then. It's like, yeah, well, so
That's amazing.
that's what I think is funny because he had no idea. He had absolutely no idea. So yeah, so that helps me feel even more better about myself and about this whole competition. And it just
Uh,
goes to show you
it shows me
anybody,
that
anything can happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. It shows me that you have great storytelling capabilities. If you can keep a marriage hidden from a
Yeah.
professional wrestler that's in AEW, so he's at the top of his game. So you did great in doing that. Now, are you available, or can you enter 2024 because you do have the Nightmare Factory? Are you planning on going
um,
back to
I,
2024?
I plan on helping Jacques as much as I can with whatever he needs help with, finding guys, uh, coaching, agenting, or anything like that. My original thought process was that it might be unfair. Personally, my personal thought process is that it would be unfair to enter 2024 because I did get the training. But Jacques said to me, well, you didn't win the money, so you can enter if you want. So I'm still kind of, I don't want to say I'm on the fence because, like, yeah, 100%, I'd love to enter it again. But at the same time, I'd love to get that opportunity to other people that are my friends and make sure a lot of other people can get on board because, like, the money's the money, but the training is kind of like, that's what we should be in this for. The money is to help us get there and survive, kind of thing. But the training should be what this competition really is for because, like, that's 6,000 American or however much it costs worth of training, but that's also connections. And if you're in this business to make it or at least make money or do something with it, connections, the training, all that stuff is invaluable. And that's an investment on yourself. So if I have the training already and I go, which I plan on going about springtime, um I feel like I'd like to see, because I have a lot of friends that now that this has all happened the way it happened, and I've said to a lot of people, even if you're eliminated, if you're like, if you're betting on yourself and you're pushing yourself forward, you have a real strong chance of getting something out of it because I did too. Even though I was eliminated. So, but Jock said I could if I wanted to, so I'd consider it definitely. I'll help him as much as I can, and I'm gonna come to the shows regardless. I think, and I'll be involved, but I'm still kind of 50-50 on joining it just because I'd like to see exactly who joins it and things like that. Because I don't know what I would do if I won the training again. Like it'd be a little. Should I go for 6 months? I think
Yeah.
I would. I'd probably. I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I really don't know. So I'm gonna kind of play that one by ear and see what happens. But
Well,
if he
first
lets
off,
me, I might.
enjoy the
Yeah.
training that you're about to receive. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a hell of a good trip for you, I'm assuming.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'm just going to leave the floor open to you a little bit here. Maybe you can give us your social media outlets and let people know where to find Bobby Sharp and anything that you want to say in closing here.
Oh yeah. I mean, to keep things really quick, uh, I'm on Twitter, Lion Warrior AB. I'm on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Lion Warrior Sharp, and Instagram at Lion Warrior AB as well, short for Lion Warrior Alberta. Couple real quick things I just wanted to push out there. Um, I have a lot of bookings. You can come and catch me in Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba. Tons of shows if you check my social media to see exactly where these shows are happening. One thing I kind of wanted to shout out that I'm doing right now is that we talked about the titles I had earlier, and I had four. I'm putting in a lot of challenges to try and up that number because in November, from November 17th, starting in Winnipeg, there'll be a Canadian Wrestling Elite is running a Rumble to Remember tour, and they're bringing in the Ultimo Dragon. So Ultimo Dragon will be in Western Canada for 10 shows, and I'll be on the shows with him. But what I'm talking about is that if people remember, there's a very famous photo of Ultimo Dragon holding 10 championship belts. My goal is to try and get to 10 title belts before that tour and challenge him for all 10, or well, put all 10 titles on the line against him. So that's kind of something I'm trying to do right now. So it'd be great to get a lot of fans to get behind me and support me in making that challenge come true. And then yeah, come check out starting in Winnipeg. Check out the CWE Rumble to Remember with Ultimo Dragon. This Friday I'll be wrestling in Edmonton for RCW. Next week we've got shows Redwater on the 19th in Alberta for Can-Am, and the 20th in Edmonton for Top Talent Pro Wrestling, another premier company. The weekend after that, some more Can-Am wrestling shows in Innisfail and Okotoks. So it's just booking after booking after booking. We just did a big show in a place called the NMAX Center that holds 1,700 people in Lethbridge last Saturday. So wrestling's really really on fire right now in Alberta, Western Canada, and all over. I think Western Canada might be one of the hottest territories as far as wrestling goes. So definitely, I'm one of the guys that's on almost every single show, or I try to be anyway. But if I'm not, I still recommend coming to check out all these companies and seeing some great wrestlers that you maybe didn't get a chance to really hear of, because a lot of these guys are amazing, amazing athletes. So I couldn't support these companies and these guys enough. So yeah, come check out my Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, Lion Warrior AB, and you can follow the shows. I post all the dates there, post all the results, so you can keep up to date with everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, I'm Ken from Ken's Corner, and it's been my honor to be on with Bobby Sharp. The winner, well, he won against, well, he got the 3 months training at
Yeah,
the Nightmare Factory.
I didn't win the war, but I won a pretty big battle.
Yes, he didn't win the war, but he actually made it to the match against Q.T. Marshall, which only one wrestler got to do this year. So that's something to behold right there. And it's an honor to have you on. Thank you very much for your time today, sir.
The pleasure. Thank you, Ken. It was a pleasure.